present perfect versus present perfect continuous. Today we'll look at the difference between two English tenses, present perfect and present perfect continuous. I will explain them in a simple and easy way, so don't worry. No doubt you will use these tenses correctly. And, of course, I will ask you to test your knowledge with a quiz. For those who want to learn English tenses, I recommend the book Usage of English Tenses in a Simple and Easy Way. That contains clear guidelines and explanations of all aspects of English tenses. First, let's find out what perfect and perfect continuous mean. People, when speaking, want to convey their thoughts by describing the type of action. Both the present perfect and present perfect continuous tenses describe actions that begin in the past and ended by the time of speech, or are still ongoing and have a connection with the present. With the help of the diagram, I will clearly show how the verb to write in the phrase write an article changes depending on what I want to say. He has written a new article. He has been writing a new article. As you can see, the grammatical structure of these two examples differs in the form of the verbs. Present perfect tense, has plus past participle. Present perfect continuous tense, has been plus participle one. Now, let's look at the two grammatical forms of verbs that are used in these example sentences. Past participle, or the third form of the verb, typically expresses the completeness of action and denotes that action was started and completed in the past. Without a doubt, many students are already familiar with such grammar concepts in English as regular and irregular verbs. Regular verbs form past and past participle by adding ed or d endings to the base verbs. For example, to start, started, started, or to name, named, named. Irregular verbs do not have rules for the formation of their forms. They just have to be learnt by heart. For example, drive, drove, driven. Write, wrote, written. Are you still struggling to learn English irregular verbs? Memorize irregular verbs with the world #1 song, along with millions of students all over the world. You'll be surprised to realize how easy it is to learn English irregular verbs. In the phrase, he has written a new article, a speaker wants to emphasize that the action is completed, and the result is important at the moment of speaking. That is why the perfect present tense is used. Remember, the perfect present tense is used in order to indicate the completeness of action and show the result. Participle 1, or verb plus ing, expresses the continuous aspect and shows that an action is in an ongoing process. Thus, in the sentence, he has been writing a new article, a speaker wants to express simultaneously the result and the duration of the action that may or may not be completed at the moment of speaking. That is why the present perfect continuous tense is used. Remember, the present perfect continuous tense focuses on the duration of the action that began in the past and has just ended or is still in the process. Let's look at another pair of examples. I have cooked a pie. The pie is ready and we can eat it, and using the present perfect shows the result of cooking in the present. I've been cooking a pie for 2 hours. A speaker with the present perfect continuous tense wants to show both the duration and the result. But it is important to understand that we are talking about the result of the time spent cooking the pie, but not the result of its readiness for eating, because the pie itself may not yet be ready. Verbs that aren't used in continuous. Please note, some verbs are not used in continuous because they already express the process. These are verbs that express possession. For example, to have, to own, to belong, etc. Feelings, to feel, to see, to hear, etc. Mental activity, to believe, to remember, to know, etc. Desire, to want, to wish, to like, dislike, to love, to hate, etc. We don't say, I have been belonging to that club for a year. We use present perfect instead and say, I've belonged to that club for a year. However, there are verbs in English that have a meaning of one-moment action, such as burst, graduate, etc. They still can't be used with continuous. We normally don't say, I have been breaking my leg, because break means one moment of action. So instead, we use the present perfect tense. I have broken my leg. Correct! It is also worth paying your attention to verbs live and work. Students often get confused in which tense to use, present perfect or present perfect continuous. Basically, we can say both ways. I have been living in the USA for 5 years, or I have lived in the USA for 5 years. However, remember, if it is necessary to show past experience, even with an indication of the duration, we use present perfect. For example, I've worked for the building company for 5 years. I have lived in London for 1 month. In order not to confuse the present perfect and present perfect continuous tense forms of verbs, I want to recommend you to watch the video lessons, which explain the situations of their usage in a simple and easy way. You can see hints for these videos in the description. And finally, the quiz! I am sure you will cope with it easily. My friend has already visited that exhibition. We have been cleaning our room for an hour. Have you written the report yet? How long have you been writing that report? Lisa has forgotten her bag. Did you get it right? I hope you did. Stay with us and learn English in a simple and easy way.